Gran, I never played Gran. I'm not a racing game guy. Gran Turismo, obviously. But yeah, I'm not a racing game kind of guy. I've done the racing games at arcades. I've played them. They're fine. I do enjoy like duking it out with like Mark and stuff like that whenever we get the chance to do that. But I just never was a big racing guy, and Gran Turismo never played it. I didn't know how intricate like the game mechanics of Gran Turismo actually are. So like when I actually saw like the simulator and all that, I'm like, whoa, this is actually pretty intense. But Gran Turismo not getting the best reviews in the world, not getting the worst. As it stands between the audience and the critics right now for Gran Turismo. Okay, 60% of the critics overall liked it. It has gone up since I last saw. Because the last I saw it was like in the mid-50s. Now it's gone up to about 60%. But 98% of the audience likes it. And again, that's where your money comes from. So that's a good... is not a bad spot to be in, honestly. 60% of critics, all right, sure. But 98% of the audience... Maybe you can get some repeat business. I don't know what the budget is on this. That's the one thing. I'm getting really heavy into this before even talking about the movie, but it's okay. It's apparently it carries right around a $60 million budget. It got decent marketing. I'd put it probably around 50 to 60. So let's just hypothetically say it needs to make the 180 mark. That sounded about right to me. I don't know if it'll do it. We'll see what that weekend looks like for its box office. I do think it's going to be number one this week. But overall, what did I think of it? I liked it. I thought it was a pretty solid movie. It's doing something with video games that's very unique because it's not really based. You've probably all heard this before, but it's not really based on the video game. It's based on a real life story about the video game. It's based on Jan Mardenborough, who was a real person, who does the stunt driving in this, or his own character, played by Archie Madekwe. It was, lived in Wales, was obsessed with the game, was told, you got to be realistic by your dad, played by Jaimin Hansu, and they have a great moment in the film. Very nice. Very, very, very sweet moment between them. But he gets this chance because Danny Moore, who was a sales rep of Nissan, said, this is an untapped potential. Let's do a contest. He got in and he won, and he became one of the great racers of our era, basically. And he won Le Mans. By the way, anything I'm saying right now is part of the real story. So yeah. Now, I'm sure there's obviously some embellishing. I don't know about any of the romance stuff happening in real life, but I didn't know much about the story beyond this to begin with. He also had his trainer, Jack Saltier. It's Salter, but it's a Saltier, I believe it. Played by David Harbour, who hands down, I think, is the best part of this movie. Unlike a lot of people, I didn't watch Stranger Things, and I'll be honest, I don't have a strong interest to. I think the hype is just too high. And I just don't care that enough about the series to go and watch it at this time. But I know David Harbour, that's where he kind of really came on the scene. He'd been around for a while, but that's where he came on the scene. And then he just started picking up roles. He became Hellboy. He's Red Guardian. He's Santa now. He's in this. He's really come around. There's this great little comedy mockumentary. Frankenstein's Monster Frankenstein, and he's in that as well. Yeah, David Harbour is a really fun actor. I like seeing him, and he's a good actor too. He's really good in this film because he's the coach, and he had his own racing history, but he's the most jaded among them because I think he knows exactly what's at stake with this, with doing this kind of stuff. So I definitely like him the most, but they're all pretty good in the movie. I had one friend say how she had a big crush on Legolas Orlando Bloom, and she goes, "Oh God, he got old." I'm like, the dude's in his 50s now. The fact that he's starting to show age, born 77, 23. He's just hitting his 50s now. I'd be shocked if he didn't age at this point. He still looks good. What the hell are you whatever. Um, but yeah, he's delightfully fun. That kind of crazed guy who's got the idea. Like I said, Jaimon Hanso is not in the movie a lot, but is good in the film. Um, he is he's good. Like all the acting is good. The race sequences are fan freaking. Racing is similar to me like basketball. I know. First, I'm not a sports, as you can tell based on the content on my channel. I'm not big into sports. There are some exceptions. Like I am a mixed martial arts fan. I like MMA. I like combat sports actually. Not much wrestling. Wrestling is more spectator anyway. It's just a show, more of a show. But I like boxing. I like mixed martial arts, so I do like that stuff. But I like spaceball, football. I've grown a little bit more okay with watching football thanks to the Super Bowl and doing it with friends, but I don't watch football on my own. But most sports aren't very interesting to watch in real life. But when portrayed in a movie, particularly like basketball and racing, there's just something very visceral, especially with racing, visceral, raw, and real about it. And you can feel, you're on the kind of the edge of your seat with the intensity of what's going on there. Excuse me. So I love the fact that they really capture that. God, this film is. I hope this film gets at least some Oscar buzz for the sound design, because the sound design is top notch. When you're doing racing, you've got to make those cars sound real. And just like I can't even do a good race sound. I'm good at vocal impressions, but that's not like I can't do a real race car sound. But damn, some of it is intense. You do see some of the tragedy that happens with racing too. It's a dangerous sport, and yeah, I mean, it's just impressive that this story actually happened. I mean, obviously, taking some liberties for this movie. I don't know what is true and what is not, but overall, the fact that it happened at all in any capacity is just amazing and just impressive. And hats off to the guy who did it. Now, it's not perfect. One of the complaints I heard was, because it's Neil Blomkamp who directed this, right? District 9, Chappie, Elysium. And he's been had a pretty mixed record. Like he nailed it out of the park with District 9, from what most people say. Which I've actually never watched District 9, but I'll take their word for it. I actually liked Chappie. A lot of people didn't, but I actually liked Chappie. And he's got his, oh God, what is it? That studio he does for the short films. Damn it. Why can't I remember that? Tell me in the comments below what his short film studio is, because the short films that studio put out are really good. But overall, he's just kind of been hit and miss. And this is definitely one of his better films. Easy, hands down, one of his better films. But he does struggle, I think, he's a very visual director, but he does struggle with character to some degree and interactions with humans and others, or interactions in general, because some of this feels very schmaltzy, like very schmaltzy, very just, I wouldn't say cringy, but unnecessary. Particularly the relationship between Jan and this girl he likes. Aubrey is her name, played by Maeve Porter Lily, who very lovely girl. And honestly, the complaint I heard was that it was so cringy. I'm like, I actually found them quite sweet and charming together. But it's a similar problem I had to weird comparison. I can't believe I'm bringing this up twice in 2 weeks. Back to the Strip, where the A plot is what I'm here for. That's what I'm paying attention to. The B plot is, and it's not even a B plot. It's more like a C plot. The C plot with his relationship with this girl is sweet and would work in a different movie, but it's not what I'm here to watch. And it has no bearing on the story whatsoever. There's only like 2 scenes involving them. Really, there's only 2 major scenes. And I don't know what to say, except it really has no point to be in the story. Even if this really happened, this is something you could have cut out, because it takes up, not joking, like 10 minutes worth of plot on a movie that's already only 2 hours and 14 minutes or 15 minutes. Could have shaved that off, made 2 hours and 5 minutes. Maybe I'm just a little bit. I don't know. would have flowed a lot smoother. I tell you what, because when it gets to those, you're like, let's get back to the story. This is nice. Let's get back to the story. I will also say this: let's call them the antagonists. The driver for was it Kappa? Nicholas Kappa, yeah, Kappa, who's more or less the antagonist. He is a douche, and I've been noticing lately, not just here, again, back on the strip, as well as a couple other. What was the other film before that a film where I'm like, oh yeah, they were not high. Oh, The Meg 2. They lately, at least in the last couple of films I've seen in a row, they were not trying to hide how douchey these people were. Like in terms of humanity, this guy probably has the most, because he's not a cartoon, and this is a real person that he probably raced against. But they make no effort in like just hiding how douchey and entitled and spoiled this little prick is. So yeah, they make no effort in hiding that. And I'm like, it's kind of refreshing the first two films, but now I'm like, I don't know, maybe it's because this is a real story, it still doesn't bother me. Maybe he really was that douchey. Maybe he wasn't. Maybe he's not even a real person. Maybe he's based off someone else. They just changed the name. I doubt it. I assume Kappa was a real person and all that. In some capacity, he had some sort of rivalry with this guy. But but no joke, they really make these guys out to get this guy because he was a gamer, sim racer, as you will. And because of the simulation. And they're really out to get him. And this guy at every corner is really effing with him. And then he nearly fucks up and nearly gets himself killed and Jan killed. Jan confronts him on it, and then he has the gall to get on Jan's case and David Hart's case later on when there's an accident in the film involving him. And it just shows his arrogance, his hypocrisy, and just why he's not a likable person, or character at least. Maybe the person really was like this, and maybe they grew and changed. But either way, I'm like, it's kind of refreshing, but I'm starting to get a little tired of these cookie cutter villains. And I don't care if a villain is bad and knows they're bad and enjoys being bad. I don't care about that. It's about the writing that goes behind that. With this, there's at least good writing. It makes sense that he's this entitled little prick. With back to the script, he was just an asshole for the literal sake of being an asshole in that, oh God, cliched relationship. And then in the Meg 2, that was just shit writing on their parts. Even Rainn Wilson, who was kind of a bad guy, but not really, just kind of an ass, at least had some character there in the first Meg. And that's not even going back to, further this year where we got bad guys who are bad just because they're bad. But then again, you have, Bowser, who's bad because he's bad, but he's so much fun, and that's the point of him. Can I think of anyone else who's bad for the sake of being bad? If I tried, maybe the High Evolutionary from Guardians, but people actually loved hating that villain. He played it so well, people actually really loved to hate him. He's one of those villains you love to hate. Here, these guys are just assholes. They're just assholes for the sake of being assholes. Anyway, but look, that's really my worst complaints about it. It's a little long. You could have easily shaved out the romance subplot, which had no bearing on the film. And yeah, the villains, let's not even call them villains, the antagonists are a bit cookie cutter. I'll say that. There's more depth in the last couple of films I saw, but they're a bit cookie cutter. Overall, though, I very much enjoyed this film. I had a good time with it. It is definitely one of the better video game adaptations. And again, I think it's because for the video game movies to really start to thrive and really grow and try to have some level of presence like the comic book movies do, they are going to need to do something different. The first big one was Sonic the Hedgehog, which was an overall success. By all accounts, that was a damn success. Then you got, and I'm talking about in terms of when the successful video game movies start, because we've been having a lot of video game movies or attempts at them for a while. Assassin's Creed fell hard on its face. Warcraft actually didn't do that bad. It just really wasn't. It didn't get the full success it probably could have or should have, but it wasn't bad. So maybe you can make an argument that's right there. But then you got Sonic, which is a crowd pleaser, critic pleaser, not like 90% or anything, but crowd and critic pleaser, and made money. Sonic 2 made more money on the same budget. Even most people actually kind of consider it better. I even like it a bit more than the first one. The first one's a lot of fun. Uncharted didn't get the best critical score, but it made over $400 million. And most of the audience seemed to like it. I liked it enough. It wasn't amazing, but I liked it. So I would consider that a success too. But what is the key to keep doing this? A, make good movies, obviously. But that's easier said than done. But B, try looking into things like Gran Turismo here. Where I keep saying grand, but it's Gran Turismo. Gran Turismo here, where you look at it from a different... If you can't figure out a way to properly adapt a movie, like the Tetris movie is about the people who made it, not about the game. It's like a movie where blocks have to be... No. You got to look kind of beyond just the game itself, maybe look into more things about the game or the history of the game and go from there. And that's what I think this movie was able to capitalize on and hopefully can do well. I'll say this, if this movie can open to 30+ million this week, and I have no idea what the box office looks like right now. I'll have to wait till tomorrow to see what today's Friday numbers look like. But until then, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, share, subscribe, and I will see you folks next time.